We are your home for exclusive interviews and behind-the-scenes stories you won't hear anywhere else. This is all about Kentucky tracks, Kentucky drivers, and Kentucky fans. We eat, sleep, and breathe it anyways, so we figured why not make a podcast about it. For 11 years, we've been keeping the bluegrass covered in dirt. Now, we're doing it bigger than ever before. We are Kentucky's Dirt Racing Podcast. Welcome to another edition of Dirt Racing in the Bluegrass Live, presented by Smokehouse Grill and Buffet.
And welcome everyone to a live edition from Eldora Speedway. It's the World 100. This is, of course, presented by Smokehouse Grill and Buffet. This is the Bluegrass Restoration and Construction Studio, if you could call it that. We're set up here in the campground. I'm Josh Chastain. I'm here with Worldwide Wes Lanham, of course, and Chris Lowry of Bluegrass Restoration and Construction, one of our biggest sponsors, supporters. We appreciate everything you guys
appreciate y'all doing what you guys do.
Yeah. Man, it's a lot of fun. Friday night here at the World 100. And really, I think when it comes down to it, the party's just getting started, guys. We just getting warmed up.
You've not seen nothing yet.
Yeah, exactly.
No, really looking forward to two more nights of racing here. Had a great night last night. Track was bad fast. Little Bobby Pierce looked really good. Hudson O'Neill looked good. So.
I don't know about you, but I thought I looked good last night too.
Well,
I was walking around
thought
the
I
pits,
looked good.
you know,
Yeah.
cruising around on the golf cart.
Absolutely.
I mean, I was making good crisp lines. I mean,
problem is you look so good we couldn't even see you. So
You was nothing but a blur.
That's right. Nothing but a blur.
But man, had a great day and evening yesterday, and had a really good day up here this morning. And it's cool to see how many fans are from the state of Kentucky that are here.
it's unreal. We was riding around yesterday, even today too, and you got Kentucky flags flying. You got golf carts painted up, all the Kentucky license plates and things. Got to give little go cats out there, but
got to play EKU
if y'all have
tomorrow.
not. Oh yeah, go Colonels! I guess.
I'm a Colonel alum, but I
Yeah.
love my Cats.
Yeah, my
that's
Cats,
one of
yeah.
them games I hate that they play.
I know.
I mean, we can't root for both of them.
They thought they
Listen,
lost
he
by
said
like
listen.
50 points. I did that. I told you to backhand me. If I said listen one time on this show, I done told you. I gave you the pre-authorization to backhand me. But anyways, they lost by 50 points. Eastern did to Cincinnati last week. So I mean, we ought to beat them by at least 60. I mean, love the Colonels. We're from Madison County, Richmond, of course, but Kentucky's got to take care of business tomorrow night.
I think they'll be just fine. And last week's a little shaky on both sides of the ball, but, we always start a little slow anyway, so I think we'll be just fine.
I think so as well.
Always start slow, and I think they'll bounce back tomorrow at 3 o'clock, and they'll be all right.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about, first of all, we've got several things we want to talk about while we're on here with you. Like I said, live from Speedy Campground here at Eldora Speedway. A lot of things we want to talk about. Of course, we want to talk about the World 100 just overall, what we expect Kentucky drivers here at the World 100, and also some events coming up here this weekend back home in Central Kentucky. A big one with the Sandy Adams Memorial there at Rockcastle Speedway. $5,000 to win for open wheel modifieds there at Rockcastle. And then down at Thunder Mountain Speedway, there's also a big event going on there. $3,000 to win for pro late models. So while all this is happening up here in Rossburg, Ohio, there's a lot of big things going on in Central Kentucky this weekend too. So we want to talk about all of it. So let's start with where we're at right now. World 100, the granddaddy of them all. Doesn't get any bigger than this when it comes to dirt racing. I think if last night was any indication of what we're going to see this weekend, it's probably going to be a little bit more of the same of what we've seen in the national super late model racing all year. Guys, there's certain guys, it seems like every year, they hit on something. I don't know what it is. They find something, and they just sort of dominate the sport. Bobby Pierce, we'll talk about him real quick first.
He was on a different level last night, another level.
Super quick. I mean, the moves that he was making, had to start 6 due to the invert.
Let's talk about that invert. What's your opinion on that invert?
On the invert, I like it. Well, as a fan, I'm gonna say yes. I love the invert.
Well, it works sometimes. Sometimes it don't. Sometimes you got you get 6 cars deep in a feature. Sometimes you just got lucky in a heat race.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've done that once before down at Richmond in a big race down there. I started, mid-pack, and I'm like, there's a lot of good cars behind me. I don't need to be here.
Yeah.
So if they'd have done an invert, there's no telling what could have happened. So I'm not a big fan of it. I know it provides a little better racing at times. But sometimes you just get people up there that just don't need to be there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like it. I like Wes said it from a fan's perspective. I mean, I think it's fun to watch. It mixes things up a little bit. My only thing with it is, similar to the North-South, these guys run 2 nights of racing, running as hard as they can, trying to get every point they can to put themselves in position for Saturday night. And then all of a sudden you got this invert, and it's like, what the hell were we racing 2 straight days for? Because like that guy goes from earning points to start on the pole, and now all of a sudden he's starting 8th or 10th or whatever.
Well,
I don't really.
if that invert was just 4, okay, cool, I can see that. But heck, on that wheel last night, there was 8.
Yeah.
You're taking the top 4 rows. I mean, there's a big difference a lot of times in your pole sitter and P8 right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, on this level, they're, all those drivers, they're on a different level, most of them anyway. So, but
yeah. Well, I mean, certainly on a different level. I think on another level, like we were talking about, Bobby Pierce, man, like I heard so many people yesterday talking. Like, he's just in a different world right now.
He is.
He's having one of those years.
The way he comes up on race cars, man, like, it's like he's going to run over them, but he just, like, he can go low, he can go middle, he can go anywhere he wants to go, and he doesn't lose anything.
His maneuverability is
That's
crazy.
a big word for you, Wes.
That is a big word.
Hey,
Thanks, buddy. Hey, I'm smarter than I look. I'm just telling you, he slicing and dicing cars. The move that he made on B-Ship there through 1 and 2. If any other car tries that, I mean, they're up in the fence. They get the backup car, they've destroyed the car, or took B-Ship out.
Yep.
He was just smooth as silk, and just a good move. But I don't know. He's the man to beat. I know we've got other drivers that we're going to talk about that is right there, and you've got to look at, let's say, like a top 10 that has a chance to win this race, and it is the biggest. It's the granddaddy of them all.
I'm telling you right now, if you're in the show, you got a chance here tonight.
Yeah.
Man, that's a lot of laps.
Yeah, and a lot of big wrecks could happen early in the race. Going in having to change tires. We've seen it done. People coming to the back, to the front. Anything's possible.
Ricky Thornton this year has done that more than anybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Had horrible luck. Things have happened, and track changes.
Well, let me ask you guys this. I hear a lot of people, I think we had Steve Francis on a couple months ago, and he talked about it. He said, in super late model racing right now, there's more parity than there's ever been. Like, more guys can show up and win than ever. Let me ask you a question. Is that really the case? Like this weekend, give me a number. How many guys you think legitimately, and no bad luck, how many guys have a legitimate chance to win the World 100 on Saturday night? What do you think?
And be honest with you, and this is no disrespect to some of them drivers over there, because they're all way better than your local local racers. But I think, a handful over there, I don't think that has even a chance.
I agree.
I mean, I think if you make that field, like I said, if you make the field, you got a chance.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
and it'd be an honor just to make the field.
Yeah.
I mean, you make the show, you've done something. That's a win in anybody's book.
Absolutely.
Whether you're a local guy, whether you're regional, whether you're national. You make the show at Eldora for the World 100, that's a feather in your cap. That's a win.
Some guys that won heat races last night, they may not do well the rest of the week. But you know what? They can say they won a heat race at Eldora. Sunday, Tristan Chamberlain, another young racer coming up. He's going to be a handful here soon. He's already a great wheelman.
Yeah.
But he won a race on Sunday.
First time here.
Yeah, first time.
Well, and then if we're going to talk about the Boston Classic, Trip Gerald, Kentucky boy, runs second to Ricky Weiss.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And only his second time back in the car.
Let's see, third race this season. Back in the car. Hadn't been in since 6 years.
Yeah.
I think he raced at Mud Lick, Lake Cumberland, and then run up here.
I forgot about that.
So,
yeah, Mud Lick. Yeah.
I mean, and that cat was really good 6 years ago when he raced.
He was.
He was full of talent. and just a good kid to talk to.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that for the sport,
Yeah.
for our state.
Well,
too.
yeah, for our state for sure. I hate that he's not here this weekend.
Oh,
you
no,
know?
I talked to him. I wanted him to be here, and that 4-letter word that starts with a W and ends with a K, work.
Yeah.
Sometimes that gets in the way.
There's
but
a lot of drivers that's normally here that's not.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
talking about that last night. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
it's a
There's
shame because those
Yeah.
drivers, they have a chance here too.
Oh,
For sure.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with you. I think you're looking at a handful, like legitimate shot of winning at the same time. You know, I think I heard last number was 104 cars here this weekend. So, you know, for a guy to come up here and win a heat race, or even for that matter a B main, whatever, to be in victory lane on that stage at Eldora for anybody, Baltus Classic, whatever it is. We was talking to Jeremy Creech earlier, won in the
Yeah.
Rainmaker race cars last Sunday night. That anytime you can be in that on that stage at Eldora in anything, that's a big deal.
And he told us, he said, I've raced here, I've done everything but win. And he said, I finally won that street stock race there on Sunday, and he said I was tickled to death to get that win. And I was talking to him, and Josh was too, and I said it was just cool to be in a Rainmaker race car, Bartley Grant. You know, that's our Kentucky connection,
Yeah.
and he's up from Richmond, Indiana, so just cool to get to talk to him and give him a shout out. That's a big win at a track he's raced at for years, so pretty cool deal.
Let's talk about some other Kentucky drivers here real quick. I'll run a few off and we'll talk about them. We'll start. Josh Rice. What do you think this weekend? What's the ceiling? I think Josh Rice, when it comes to Kentucky drivers, drivers in our little neck of the woods, I guess you could say, he's been as good as anybody else, better than anybody else.
He's
this
had
year.
some terrible luck up
For
here.
sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
terrible.
This place
luck,
owes him.
It does, and it wouldn't surprise me not one bit for him to have a podium finish here.
Yeah.
Would not surprise me not one
For sure.
bit.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't. And we was talking yesterday. He's kind of the rocket. If you think about guys in rocket cars right now, he's got to be one of the best. In those cars nationwide.
I actually had a guy ask me last night: has the Rocket house car ever won the World 100?
I'm pretty sure it hasn't. If I'm not mistaken, I think hearing the cast of the race there when they was commentating last night, I'm pretty sure that the Rocket house car hasn't won the World 100. So for Hudson O'Neal to do that for Mark Richards would be absolutely huge.
I know they've been close.
They have been close, yes.
Is it not crazy though?
Yeah, it is crazy.
That the Rocket house car, as good as they've been, they've won everything else multiple times.
In
Never
both
won.
series, Lucas and World Outlaws won championships, but not won this crown jewel, the World 100.
Yeah. All right, who else we got here, Wes? You sent me the list the other day. Kirk Phillips.
I think
here.
it's his first time here.
Yeah.
Tanner English, this is a rookie. He's a rookie for this race. This is the first World 100 for him. Mike Bargo, one of my buddies out of Corbin, Kentucky, in the 316. That's a Longhorn and powered by Vic Hill. Great to give a shout out to him, and awesome that him and his team's here. And I've watched Mike race all my life, on the asphalt early and then now on the dirt, and just super cool to see him up here this weekend.
Yep.
Jason Jameson, he's not a Kentucky driver, but
Right.
he's raced all over Kentucky, and he's probably in my lifetime he's spent more time in Kentucky. I've seen him more in Kentucky racing than I have anywhere else so he's kind of like we've adopted him,
Yeah.
but his car owner, they are out of Kentucky, so that was really nice to see him last night run really well.
Oh, it looked good.
James Ratliff
Yeah.
racing. Cool, man. I mean, he was fast.
Yeah.
He was was he in the same race as Pierce, or was he in Hudson's?
I believe.
He ran second to Hudson, led.
Yeah.
He led a lap or two.
He led 2 or 3 laps there, and then that caution. Now, if that caution
got
came out,
him.
it would have took Hudson a little. He might have
Yeah.
still got him because
I know,
Hudson was on
yeah.
a rail, but he had a pretty good lead there, and then that caution came out and it hurt him. He didn't have the best start, the best restart there. So, but
just to stay up there and get that second place finish, and we went over and talked to Jeff Gullett and Tim Tungett after the race, and he was super pumped. Said had a heck of a car.
You can't count that man out.
You
Anytime he's
can't.
in a race car and that race car's
can't.
running, he's going to be right in the mix.
Yeah.
Listen, there's times he might be records or checkers, but he's always going to race to win. I don't care what he's racing in,
He run
you
a
never
good smooth
can count
race
him out.
last night.
Yeah,
He really
yeah.
did. I mean, you got to give him credit. He run a good smooth race, held on to the second place behind Hudson. But I mean, I don't think you can count him out. And he's in a real good spot coming into tonight, points wise.
I think he's fifth in points coming in.
Also heard a lot of people talking about, too, with that. You got to think about coming into tonight. How do you want to position yourself in points, thinking about that invert coming into Saturday? I mean, when it comes down to it, you may be better off to not be,
It's the luck
way
of the
up
draw.
there in points. You may, if they spin an 8, you might be better off to
You might start on the pole.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right.
When's the last time a pole sitters won this race?
That's a good question.
I don't know.
I don't
Do
know
you
that answer
I was
either,
gonna say,
but,
Well,
But,
let's see. I'm trying to think.
Historically speaking, pole sitter's not going to win most of your races.
yeah. Well,
So, do you
Was
want to
it-
sit on the pole? Do you want to start about 10th back or so? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
who knows in this race? I mean, we've watched Ricky Thornton up there in Pennsylvania. He had bad luck, started on the tail, and
Yeah.
he
Drove a heck of a race. and won.
horrible luck there at the end of the race. But I'm telling you, I think he would have won that race.
Yeah.
No, I think so too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
I
bad
definitely
luck.
think he would.
He could have very easily got the win.
Yeah, he would have. I think had he not, the sort of the last straw, I guess, there that ended up getting him. But man, it was fun to watch him.
Was it drive
watching it
shaft or
on
something
flow.
like that?
Yeah, it was.
Something-
It was a drive shaft. It ended up, they showed it on flow there. You could see it hanging underneath the car. Just heartbreaking to make that good of a run. But that just shows another one. I don't know if we even talked about him, Ricky Thornton Jr. Just how good
A
he's
great
been
year.
this year. I mean, the two heavyweights so far in National Super Late Model Racing, Bobby Pearson and Ricky Thornton Jr. And I don't know if it's even close. after those two.
RTJ holds the record for the most Lucas wins in a year.
Yeah, which is just wild to think about,
That really surprised me because, I mean, you had Jonathan Davenport run off, 9 consecutive a few years ago. I would have thought he would have been in the mix up there, but no, 16.
Yeah.
16 is what it was, and that was held by the GOAT. Love him
Yeah.
or hate him. Scott Bloomquist. Hey, he's not here this weekend.
I know,
but,
man. It just ain't the same, really. Like
It's
it just
not.
life ain't the same. I've never been. I've said this before. I can't say that I've ever been a Bloomquist fan, but our sport overall, you got to give him credit where credit's due.
Right.
It just ain't
Absolutely.
the same without.
I think
Scott
there's two
Bloomquist.
people in this sport, in late model racing, that we owe more than we can ever repay, and that's C.J. Rayburn and Scott Bloomquist.
Yeah,
Yes.
without
I've
Those
never
two
been a
right there.
Bloomquist fan either, but you got to tip your hat to the GOAT.
Sure.
He's the best that's ever done it.
That's exactly right. And I know he's not here racing this weekend, but I just hope we were able to see him. I hope he's here, and I hope he brings the aliens with him.
The aliens have got him back here in row section A,
I
back there
saw a
about row
couple
20
back
or
there.
so. They're on top of the
Yeah.
RV. They're taking them away.
I saw
so.
that last night.
I started
so.
to say listen, but I ain't gonna say it.
Listen.
It's either going to be Scott bringing the aliens in or Starlink 1 because I
Starlink.
see a whole lot of both.
Yeah.
They're launching the satellite. So
Who knows?
All right, one more question this weekend. World 100. We got to get it in, Wes, because right now I'm in the lead, 9-6. Giving you
9 to
first
6.
pick. Yeah, 9 to 6.
That's not official.
I'm-
That's an unofficial. Score tracker's messed up.
I'm dominating this thing. He's just
9 to 6. Well,
dominating things. 2023 so far. It's been my year.
Well,
Is he having an RTJ
Every
year? Is that what he's doing?
basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's
Pretty
what
much,
it is.
Pretty much. But
All right.
all right, because I've got this lead, I'm going to
Okay.
give you first pick.
Well, I've said it. I've said it since at the North South 100. Your winner
Yep.
of the 53rd annual World 100 is going to be the smooth operator, Bobby Pierce. I've said it. That's who's going to win it.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to argue with you. If I could have that pick too, I would take it. Unfortunately, I can't. We got to
But
pick.
you've got
somebody
103 other good drivers that you can pick from.
else. I mean, if we was talking about, I don't know about 103. that
Well,
we
I'm
could
just
pick
saying
from to
that's-
win the
that's-
race, but
That's your field.
yeah. Well, I mean, we've got a lot, but I'm gonna give Chris. He's our guest here.
Okay.
I'm gonna give him second pick. So Saturday night, who?
It's hard to bet against Superman.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
He has been dominant here the last 4 or 5 years. like no other. So I mean, it's going to be hard to pick against him. I don't care where he starts.
It don't matter.
He's going to be in the mix. I promise you that.
Yeah.
Don't let last night he wasn't up on the podium, but I tell you what, I think he was playing it smart.
Yeah,
he was playing it smart.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to go with JD on that one.
Yeah.
He came from. Did he start 14th?
I think he did.
It was back in the field.
14th, 15th, and you know. He wasn't podium, but he was up there
to fourth.
I think
heard
he made it to fourth.
I didn't see it.
He was one spot off, but you was talking about leading the 9-6 here over World Wide West here. But I do believe every year I've been to the World 100, Jonathan Davenport has won, so I'm undefeated in that. So no pressure, JD. I'm just saying, no pressure. But
I think he was talking about like starting from the front row or from the pole, 2017, when he was in the red and white. 49 when he was running for G.R. Smith. Did he not start from the front
Baker
row?
Or the
no. This was a red and white.
Yeah.
Not the.
You're talking about G.R. Smith's red and
when
white.
He was in the G.R. Smith ride and he won the World 100.
He might have been.
He won everything up here that weekend.
He
was unstoppable. I don't know if he started. I don't know how the invert was, but he got up there quick. If he wasn't on the front row, he got up there and led pretty soon after, and he was gone.
We'd have to go back and look. I don't know that he didn't start on the pole in the 6 car when they had, with Rumley and them. Cause,
it might have been. Was that 15?
Yeah.
Would that have been 15?
Yeah, it was 15.
I know that was his year, man. Well, he was, somebody. You showed up, and he was there. You running from second.
Well, yeah. I mean, you was running for second.
And that was one of them. That was one of them Blomqvist years. When he used to show up, it was. You're competing from second through 24th or however many days going to start, and that was Jonathan's year for sure.
Well, guys, I realized the smart thing for me to do in this situation, having the third and last pick, would probably be to take Ricky Thornton Jr. I mean, like we just talked about the whole time, you got 2 heavyweights right now in 2023 and in National Super Late Model Racing. I think RTJ would probably be the smart pick to take. But after last night, I might regret this, but after last night, man, I'm telling you, I don't know if anybody's got anything for Bobby Pierce. I almost feel like something would have to happen. Not that I'm wishing on him whatsoever, but he's just so fast. But after last night, we'll see how things go tonight. But I think I'm going to go with that Rocket House car.
That's a great
It's just
pick.
so crazy to me that they've never won this race. Hudson was fast last night.
He was.
Run off and in that first A main looked really good. I'm gonna go with Hudson O'Neal. I'm gonna gamble on it here. I know Ricky Thornton is like the guy I should take, but I'm gonna go with Hudson. I think if anybody's got a chance this weekend, it's Hudson O'Neal, and he's had a really good stretch for a part of this year.
Yeah,
and it's like he kind of fell off, and Ricky Thornton Jr. sort of took over. But Hudson's been fast at times, and here lately in some races just had some bad luck and didn't win them. But
yeah, that's a really good pick. Huddy looked great last night.
Yeah,
I don't think he'd go wrong with any
of
those. I really don't.
We could take those 3 picks and let everybody else have the field, and I think we'd be all right.
I think we'd be. I tell you what I'd do. I'd put money on it.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Who's your pick, Roberson? We got Ronald Roberson here watching with us. Dale McDowell, Mac Daddy.
Mac Daddy, he's looked good. I mean, I seen him down at 411, and he just walked away with it. Gosh almighty.
If the track slicks off and Mac Daddy's in contention, you can't.
Well, he sure did. He won the topless 100. Yeah, for sure.
You can't count Mac Daddy out.
Not in a 100 lapper. No, he will.
Even if he starts deep in a 100 lap race. He's just so good at managing the car, staying out of trouble, keeping his tires. That's a good pick. That's another really good pick.
And he's a veteran and he knows how this track.
Yeah, he does.
He is a seasoned veteran.
By the end of this thing, I guarantee you, Dale McDowell, Mac Daddy, he'll have something to say about it.
Yeah.
Before the end of the race in that 100 lapper on Saturday night. There's no doubt about it. I think that's Roberson. That's a good pick, buddy. You can't go wrong with that one either. All right, so a lot of fun to be had here for us at Eldora. I can't wait. It's just Friday night. It's early, man. We got a whole lot more fun.
Did y'all see that crowd last night? The
largest
Thursday night crowd in Eldora Speedway history.
And that's
Just
what we
wild.
talked
World
about
100.
after the
And
race.
they say, here comes the aliens right now, boys.
The
aliens are here.
They are. Scott
Look
must be
what's-
listening.
Scott must be
Oh,
here.
Scott, Bloomer is listening. The aliens
They have landed.
arrived. If you ain't watching, you done missed the aliens landing here at Eldora Speedway. Listen, we seeing them.
They're
Hey,
here.
They're here. So,
That is awesome.
yeah, they want to talk
Yeah.
about how racing across the country is going downhill. But man, that crowd last night, and 104 drivers, I just can't buy that.
Yeah.
Cannot buy that.
No.
And there's so much other, and we're going to get, talk about that in our state, in Kentucky, but there's so many other races going on this week and weekend that drivers have elected to go and run. So, I mean, there could possibly have been more late models show up. We talked about some others, wanting to go other places around, stay closer to home. That's understandable, but hey, racing's alive and well.
That's right.
Racing is alive and well. It's certainly alive and well in Central Kentucky. So
Yeah.
let's
It
talk
is.
about what's coming up back at home this weekend. Unfortunately, the three of us are going to have to miss it. Hate that, man. Like we said all year, if we could just figure out how to be 2 or 3 places at once, we'd be in good shape.
Oh, yeah.
But let's start with Rockcastle Speedway, the Sandy Adams Memorial. We talked about this a little bit off the air. I don't know if there's ever been a memorial race for a woman. Do you know? I don't know.
I know in karting there's been a couple I've seen up through my endeavors in the karting world, but I don't know of one in cars.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know of one either. So just a really cool deal. I mean, $5,000 to win for open wheel modifieds. That's a class too. I feel like overall doesn't get a whole lot of love when it comes to those big money races, and so doesn't get any bigger than this weekend. Rockcastle Speedway, $5,000 to win in memory of Sandy Adams. At the same time, like I said, I don't know if there's ever been in car racing, dirt racing in Central Kentucky, if there's ever been a memorial race for a woman. But if there's one that's deserved, I think it's from her.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, I don't remember. I don't have memories myself of her time involved in the sport. But I don't know if there's another woman who's ever had a bigger impact on
On
dirt
the front
racing.
lines anyway, because as
Yeah.
we know, as
Well, yeah.
promoters of racetracks and things, you got to have the support of your wife, girlfriend,
For
spouse,
sure,
whatever
yeah.
it is there, and they're always running right there at Rockcastle.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
always behind the scenes doing things. But Sandy, she was right there. She was right out front. She was she was a good one.
Well, Chris, I know you've talked to us about it a little bit here pre-show, but you said you spent as much time at her house as anywhere. You knew her well personally, so just talk to us a little bit about Sandy Adams and her life and her involvement in racing.
Well, she, like I said, there was one point in time I spent a lot of time at her house. Her youngest son, Doug, he's passed away now, and he's so I know them two up there. They're probably bickering, arguing back and forth because that's just what they did. You know how moms and sons are.
Oh,
but,
for sure, yeah.
But I spent more time with them probably than I did at my own house. We lived close to the racetrack there in Richmond, and they had a spot there. They lived on site when they lived there. When it wasn't racing season, they were back down in London, and Doug going to school down there. But and that lady there, she made a positive impact on me. She gave me a chance to work at a racetrack. I'd never done that before. Heck, I was 13, 14 years old. I was doing anything from working in the concession stand. Me and Doug picked up trash every Sunday at that racetrack. So out there, if you're at the racetrack, put your trash in the daggone cans they have. Because it's no fun to do it, I promise you. But,
first-hand experience. Yeah.
But she was just an awesome person. She was really passionate about that racetrack. And a lot of folks may not know, but they owned Rockcastle Speedway as well.
So let's talk. I want to get to Rockcastle because I'll be honest with you, I didn't realize that myself because I've always heard about them running Richmond and their time at Richmond, owning that racetrack. Didn't hear about Rockcastle. Let's talk about Rockcastle, but also Richmond. Talk about their involvement there. When were they there? What did they do? What was there? I know they were owners, promoters, but not everybody knows what Sandy Adams, her involvement in our sport.
You go around the racetrack today, especially around Richmond, everyone there knows who Jim and Sandy are.
Yeah.
Some may like them, some may not, but you're not going to make everybody happy.
Right.
Sandy was very stern. She was very firm, but she was also very fair.
Yeah.
She was in the tower. She wasn't just over here, beforehand, she'd run to get all the materials and the supplies for the concession stands. Her chili was second to none when it come to a racetrack chili. Throw some of that on a burger, you don't know what you're missing, Les. That stuff was good. But then she went right into the tower, and she was right there with them in the tower scoring, hand scoring. This was back before transponders.
Yeah.
So you had 3 ladies in there hand scoring races. And I don't know if anybody's ever done that before. I have on a kart level, and as also in a tower for cars. That's hard.
Yeah.
You've got a split second to get everything right, and what she saw, and she wholeheartedly believed it. And sometimes it might have helped you, sometimes it might have hurt you. But she was as fair as anyone could be.
Hey, I know firsthand how hard it is to hand score a race with.
Yeah, you guys were down in the tower at Lake Cumberland not long ago.
Well, yeah, not long ago, but not just that. Years ago, Lucky 7 asked us to come out. Me and our buddy Brad Lawson. We get there. There's nobody there working for the track. This guy's 11-year-old son is announcing. There's nobody else in the tower. So he says, "You ever scored a race before?" I said, "No, but I've seen it done. I think I could.
Right.
I think I could handle it." So me and Brad, we get up there, and Brad's like, "Are you sure? You know what? Are you sure you know what you're doing here?" "Yeah, we'll be fine. We got it." Well, the problem was there was like four cars there that night. So you're and not only that, they didn't have transponders like you were saying. So you're sitting there, stopwatch.
Yeah.
Well, we had. I don't think there was out of them four cars. They wouldn't have one of them lined up right. It was a total mess. So a really tough thing to do, like you were talking about. I mean, no fun,
no
whatsoever,
yeah.
and a hard thing to do back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, after she'd get through scoring the race, like I said, she'd get up early. It's an all-day affair for her, and she was the one that did all the payouts. So then she got it from that end too, because as racers,
right.
Sometimes we're just not happy or whatnot.
Right,
so
yeah.
It's everybody else's fault. So she caught it all the way around. But you know what? Saturday night after the races, we'd eat spaghetti. That's what we ate at her house.
Oh, okay.
And me and Doug over there scarfing down, and she's just over there just relaxing, and she never once wavered about how much she enjoyed being around the racetrack.
Really? Because that's
never.
I feel like overall. So just talking about her personally, not just her involvement in the sport, but who she was. I mean, I feel like long term to stay in any kind of involvement in this sport, whether it's driving a race car, owning, promoting a racetrack, whatever it is you're doing. At the end of the day, you got to love it. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you got to love this sport.
She also raced cars back in her prime time. She was nothing to mess with there, especially on the powder puff circuit and things like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of folks don't know, when they sold Richmond, they never left Richmond.
Yeah.
If you went around to the back of the pit area there's a fence there and there's a house. That's where they lived. They stayed right there. They could have very well – actually, they built 2 or 3 houses and ended up selling them. They stayed right there next to Richmond Raceway.
Yeah.
That was
awesome.
kind of like home base for them.
Yeah. So I know for several years they lived there. How long did they live there? Because I remember, being just talking about, hey, that's where the Adamses live. That's what
I can remember as far back as middle school that they've lived there in some capacity. Like I said, when early on when I met Doug and things, we were running around ripping and roaring and probably doing things we should have got in trouble for. Thank goodness there wasn't Facebook and all that stuff then.
right.
That was back in middle school, early middle school. So, I mean, you're looking at 92, 90. That's when I met them.
Yeah.
I know we lived there, and I didn't know who they were. The track was there. The concession stand over in the pit side, it blew up. They had it when that happened. It's kind of a lot of crazy stuff has happened. But so, from the early 90s up until, like I said, they still live. Jim still lives right there, right at the racetrack. He can look out his front door and see the pit gates.
Oh, okay. So he still lives there in that house.
Does.
Then,
David, he lived at a house over there. He sold it. He now lives up in town, but his race shop's right there, right beside their house.
Yeah.
So I mean, the hangar over there. Good night. We've had some stories about the hangar, playing in the hangar, and stuff like that. So, like I said, I'm not going to get us in trouble. You know, we grew up a little bit there, but man, we used to have a lot of fun on that property. And like I said, Sandy never once wavered. She loved that place, and I think that's why they stayed there. Because let's be real, they could have went anywhere they wanted to. Donnie was still in London, you know, where they were originally from for up until a few years ago when I guess when he got rid of the Lightning and kind of migrated up with it. But but they're all wonderful people, still are to this day. David and Donnie, you're at the racetrack, you need some help, they'll help you. David usually shows up by himself, and
he usually is.
And he's still working on his car, but if you need help, he'll gladly come help you. Donnie's the same way. Jim, you know, he's kind of stayed away from it. His health's not been the best, you know, the last few years, so he's just kind of done his thing. But man, you can tell when my dad was over there talking to him shortly after Sandy had passed, and just they were there 4 or 5 hours just talking about racing and Sandy and the racetrack, and you could tell that he still very much loves the sport.
I can't imagine how you could, and you know, being someone like him that's been so involved and had such an impact. I mean, I think the reality is it takes people like that throughout the years in our sport who've really put themselves on the line for their love of dirt racing.
A lot of people don't know what it takes to be a promoter.
No,
you know?
I know,
it's hard. It's hard. It's not just you open the gates at 4 or 5 o'clock on a Saturday and you close them there midnight, 2 o'clock, go home, and these piles of money. I mean, you're working on a thing every day of the week.
Right.
You know, and then you've worked all week long, and then it comes a big rainstorm about 2 o'clock on a Saturday, and you got to cancel. Well, what you got to realize, all that fuel is not cheap that you've used to prepare that racetrack, or the food that you've had to get in. And then once you're there, you know, and if it's a rain out while you're there, I mean, they still got to pay their help. Their help don't just go home like, hey, it rained out, no big deal. So it's a lot that goes to it. Way more than I thought. I mean, I thought I'd had a pretty good idea because, like I said, I grew up with Jim and Sandy.
Right.
We live probably 200 yards from each other, and I spent a lot of times with Jim working at racetrack and things like that. And then, you know, our family, we're just a big racing family. We've done it my whole life. I've been around it. We decided to get into karting, and then we decided it'd be a great idea. My cousin did that. He was gonna get a racetrack, and I helped him with that. And like I said, all the stuff I thought I knew, I knew about this much. So all those bleacher promoters, you know, I just sit back and think before you start running your mouth on the internet, man. Because it's a lot more hard, a lot more work than anyone has ever imagined.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, and that's not. I don't think it's just bleachers either. Drivers, it's across the board. Wes, we're somewhere this year. I'm telling you, we've been somewhere every week. And consistently, the one thing we hear across the board everywhere from all these people running these racetracks is the one thing that's just so frustrating and so hard for them and I'm sure it's been this way for years, is complaining, the belly aching. It's always something. You can't please people. We hear it everywhere you go, and I think at some point people have to ask themselves, don't we just love this sport? Like, can't we just go enjoy and have fun?
Rough racetrack. Oh, the racetrack's rough. It's going to be. Okay, then go race asphalt. Guess what? It's going to be rough, too. Ask those NASCAR drivers. Ask them why they don't have that race in Kentucky Speedway anymore. It was rough.
It's rough,
you know, everybody's on the same racetrack. You know, it is what it is. Sometimes we have a beautiful surface. Here at Eldora Speedway, the Granddaddy of Them All, you know.
It ain't always
perfect.
That's exactly
Last night's track was really good, and I think we're going to have another one tonight. But, you know, at times it don't happen. And there's no rhyme. It's dirt.
It's nature.
You know, it's clay. It's what we're working with, and Mother Nature plays a big part in that. Big part.
You're right. And like I said, I mean, I think just have fun, because I'm telling you, and I'm not even exaggerating. It really is something. And I know everybody's got their, you know, paying their admission in there. You know, you guys as drivers, you work hard. You put a lot of time, effort, money into your race cars. Everybody involved in the sport, we all do it at the end of the day because we love it. And I think sometimes we just need to
lose
remember
focus of that sometimes.
You know,
we
lose focus.
lose
It's
focus.
easy.
I'm standing in line to get tickets last night. I mean, I've been here since Wednesday, and I never even went and bought my pit passes yet. So here we are trying to go in for hot laps and on Thursday night, and we're standing in a line as long as anything I've ever seen. And, people belly aching about how, well, it's going slow, this, that, and the other. Well, right before I stood in that line, I got a call from a really good buddy of mine. He lost his mom.
Yeah.
Well, I lost my mom 4 years ago, and it doesn't get any easier. And once you get that phone call, you realize that none of this matters, man. It's a race. We're supposed to have fun, supposed to have a good time.
Yeah.
Let's keep that in perspective, because we lose that as human beings. We all
sure
do.
we
And,
do,
and
yeah.
I'm sure I'll probably lose that perspective this weekend from this point on.
Yeah.
But just sit back and think. Like you said, it's a lot of hard work. Those
is.
people in that ticket booth, they're working as fast as they
I know,
possibly
man,
can. This track has a bar. Those bartenders, as fast as they can. The concessions, it's going to take time. When you get this many people, and it doesn't matter what racetrack it is.
It don't. Yeah. Everybody's working hard, and really, in every aspect of this sport, doing more than they should, than makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Right. At the end of the day,
You can't find
it's
help these days.
Yeah. No.
And so when you find find the people that's willing to come up and give up their weekends, that's few and far between.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
It
those
is.
people in that concession stand, they love this sport just as much as we out there on the track or in the stands or whatnot, or they wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
No,
That's exactly
they
right.
definitely wouldn't. All right, so we talked about Richmond. Of course, like I said, most people when they talk about Sandy Adams, when they talk about the Adamses, they talk about Richmond. That's what most people know. But you mentioned, hey, they also owned Rockcastle too.
Yeah.
Also, when was that? Was it dirt, asphalt
somewhere
days?
it was dirt days.
Okay.
I never went there when they were actually there actively promoting. When I met them, I believe it was still running, but I believe somebody else was promoting that track. The first time I ever went there is when Brian had reopened it. Brian Roberts opened it up a couple years ago. That was the first time I'd ever been to Rockcastle.
Yeah.
But they did own it, and it was always funny. Every time I'd ride with them to London, Doug and I knew right where we need to look. We'd always look for them lights from the racetrack. That's one of the memories I remember from being around him and us traveling up and down the highway, going to different races and things. But it was always something as a kid, heck, even to this day, when I see a racetrack, I get a little giddy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We just love it that much. Yeah.
I
It's
go
a
on
track.
vacation, or I had to run down to North Carolina for work a couple months ago, and right up the road from where I was picking up some material, there's a racetrack. I'm just like, man, so I immediately walk in. It's like, tell me about that. Well, it's shut down, this, that, and the other. Same thing.
Yeah.
Promoter got tired of hearing all the nonsense,
Yeah.
so they shut it down. Well, it's open back up. I think first part of September it was going to open back up. But,
Awesome.
But you see that racetrack, I'm a kid, man.
Yeah.
Just like us all.
We all are. Yeah. It's
I mean,
it never
heck,
gets old.
How many people you think's out here? 10, 20,000 people, and he's in a cornfield, sleeping in campers, race trailers,
Yeah.
tents, whatever we got, just to go watch a bunch of guys
I know,
go
man.
around in circles.
Yes, I
You
know. Yeah.
But the size of the cars we play with, it's just got bigger as we've grown up.
Yeah.
We still play with them. So.
That's right. It is. That's the truth. No kidding.
But yeah, I never seen a track race that they promoted down there. So that was early on. I'm not sure exactly when they sold it or why they sold it or whatnot, but it was still dirt back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I called, and I know Richmond. I'd like to have that race at Richmond, but they're on such constrictions on what they can and can't do out there.
Yeah.
So I didn't want. I know they're up and down the road about every weekend with their series and stuff. So I didn't want to bother them. So I called Kevin. Grew up with Kevin, good buddy of mine, and like I said, I knew they'd own that track, and so I thought it kind of fitting.
Yeah.
For sure it is. Yeah.
And they were more than welcome, more than happy to do something. Their only request is that I talk to David, Donnie, and Jim.
Oh, okay.
So my first call was to David, and he's like, man, I would love that. Talk to Dad and Donnie. So
Yeah.
I called Jim, and just when I picked up the phone, or he picked up the phone when I called, it was something else. You could just tell the excitement and just the love that he had for Sandy, and so that someone was thought enough to memorialize her like that.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think it's an awesome thing. Hopefully we can continue doing this. Hopefully we're going to do it on a different weekend than the World 100. That's partly my fault.
Yeah.
I was so excited that Kevin and him wanted to do this that he's like, man, we got the modifieds coming in this day. I was like, perfect, we'll do it. And then I get off the phone a couple weeks later. I'm talking to my buddy. He's standing over there watching this as well. But He's like, you realize that's the World 100 weekend? And I was like, oh,
Oh,
man.
man.
So here I am. I'm up here sitting in a cornfield at Speedy
man.
Campground, wishing I could be at two places at once, but I know that I know Sandy would be like, follow where you want to be, and she knows how much I cared about her and how much my family and hers. We're just one big family.
Yeah.
Hopefully next year we can figure out a different date and we can be at both places.
Yeah, I hope so, because I hate we're missing. We were the same way, because they messaged us, said, hey, we're having this race. And I was like, yeah, we'll be there. And then Wes is like, this World 100 weekend.
We've already got our plans
We'd already made
We'd already had stuff planned, already sunk a ton of money into being here.
Yeah.
And, at the end of the day, if Jim would have called me and says, Chris, I want you to be there, boy, he'd been up here by himself over in the toter, I'd have been heading back because that's what I would do. But like I said, that family's a racing family. They understand the importance of not only this race but of that race. So and Donnie and Dave, I believe Donnie, I heard he was in a car there a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
probably
he
hadn't been in a
was,
car in a
yeah.
while, so I think he's planning on running this race. So
that was last weekend.
That's pretty awesome. That nobody wants to run a memorial race for their own family.
No, definitely not. He was fast too up there.
He's always
he had
fast.
bad luck.
Yeah.
He hadn't been in a car, I don't know how many years exactly, probably 5, 6, 7 years, somewhere around there. And he looked really good.
He did,
Which,
man.
I mean,
it's like,
you look, and you've talked about them, but that whole family, what they, that's another one of those great racing families that's done so much for the racing community, here in the state of Kentucky, but, in the surrounding states and across the United States, just with what they've done and having races, and then you look at the success that they had with Lightning Chassis.
Growing
that's
up, there
crazy.
was nothing better than a Lightning chassis.
Yes,
nothing. I don't care what you was running. Everybody wanted that Lightning.
That's
There's
right.
nothing faster than Lightning, right?
Right.
So,
that's just cool, and me being from the Corbin, London area, so growing up, knew Donnie really well, watching him race. Him and my cousin Big Tommy Lanham was really they was close. So me watching Donnie race, and you hit the nail on the head earlier. Donnie'd roll up the race, be by himself. He'd be the only one over and walking through the pits, and I didn't really know a whole lot, but Donnie, if you ever need anything, I'll help you. I got it, little buddy. If I need something, I'll let you know. Never once. I mean, he always he done his own work, and it just super cool, and I just hope that this weekend's a success, and they can really. There's
been a lot of emotions down there for me. I'm sure. I couldn't imagine, but yeah, it's something else. And those boys and Jim, and like I said, I believe Doug's the only one that never really wanted to get behind the wheel of a car. We were too busy running up and down on the four-wheeler down all over the property there, but he never did.
Yeah, never had a desire to.
I don't think he did.
Yeah.
I think he just liked being around and all. But Donnie and David, they said David, he's the same way. He's a one-man show. I even offered to help. I was like, hey man, I'll hot pit for you for the feature.
Yeah.
No. You mentioned Tommy Lanham there a while ago. That was my first race in a late model, in a crate race. Well, actually, I think it was a super race that night. I had my crate late model. It was down at Rockcastle Speedway. First time I ever done a 4-wide salute. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was just out there. They were telling me where to go. And so I was a third from the inside. Well, the guy from beside me, he kind of come up the racetrack a little bit. So naturally, I went up the racetrack. I put the guy beside me in the wall under a 4-wide salute. It was a mess. So, but that was my first race in the late model.
That's cool.
Was his race down there.
Putting him in the wall in the 4-wide. That's the way to do
wide
it
salute.
right there.
I'm ready.
No
Rubbin's
reason to
racing.
wait.
Rubbin's racing,
Hey, that's awesome. That's dreams right there, man.
Yeah.
Just put somebody in the wall, 4-wide salute.
Hey, ain't nobody else done it.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I'm saying?
right. I ain't never heard.
I didn't see
anybody
nobody
say
last
that.
night do it.
No, I ain't either. So, just really an awesome event coming up there Saturday night. If you're not in the middle of a cornfield up here in Rossburg, Ohio, at Eldora Speedway, go to Rockcastle Speedway. That's going to be just an awesome event.
Yeah.
So
that
support-
mod race, that big mod race they had earlier in the year, it was a great race. They had 40 some odd mods that night. So
oh yeah.
hopefully there's another big turnout like that, and should be some good racing.
And it's going to be Cumberland Plateau. Is putting it on, and so that's awesome. Just go and support them.
Yeah, he's already got it. He's
Cole
already
Falloway's on another level. I'm telling you what, you watch and see. Next couple of years, he'll be right up here at Eldora.
Roberson, I agree with you. Roberson's already got his pick in. He took pick number 1.
He sure did.
Well, let's talk about that. All right, and again, also another event at Thunder Mountain. We'll talk about that too. Let's go ahead real quick. Like I said, 5,000 to win. Just going to be an awesome event there at Rockcastle. Pick the winners. Wes, I'll give you first pick again. I've got a big lead. Or you get second pick. Roberson already.
Roberson already took Cole Falloway.
Yeah, who you got?
That's a really good pick. You know, you look a 5,000 win modified race. You're going to have a lot of good regional drivers, and then who knows who'll show up across the country as far as, you know, really good regional and national open wheel modified drivers. Man, that's such a tough decision. I don't know. I saw earlier that Chase Holland was expected to race. I think he's going to race at Brownstown tonight and Rockcastle tomorrow. So I'm gonna go with Chase Holland in the 45 and get the victory.
There you go. And once again, I'll give our guest Chris Lowry a second pick. This was his idea from the beginning. Sandy Adams.
I feel like I should have had the first pick.
Well, you probably should have.
He already took my pick.
You got number
Cole
3,
Trickle Falloway. I watched that kid come up and he come up in carts, and he was just as good in that, and he didn't skip a beat when he sat down in that seat that modified.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of good local talent. Victor Lee, Blake Brown, which I think I might have saw Blake Brown up here, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he'll.
Yeah, so, I don't know if Blake's going to go back. I think he's up here for the week.
I think I saw him there running around yesterday. So, if Victor's going to be in the house, he's going to be tough to beat. Victor's always right there. But if I want to I'm just going to go Donnie Adams.
Well,
you cannot count that man out. Like you said, he
can't.
hadn't been in a car in so many years, and he was right there in the mix. Had a little bad luck. And you know, I know his competitive spirit, so I'm gonna go with Donnie.
How cool would that be?
Man, that would. It brings chills just you saying that. So.
Yeah. Well, and he had bad luck.
He did. He was fast early, and then
broke something.
He broke, but he was able to get it back fixed. I think he ended up was able to run the feature, but
I tell you what, that modified division, regionally, locally, there around Central Kentucky, there's a lot of good drivers.
Some good
You
talent.
got Aaron Brand Tyler Nicely. He's up here this week. He's got that super. So I don't know if we'll ever see him much in that mod if he stays running pretty well in that super. But Jimmy Crabtree.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds. You just keep going on and on and on right there around Central Kentucky. That's Ben Petrie. He's been pretty dominant down at Lake Cumberland. So if he shows up, he's going to be in the mix. So I've only been to Thunder Mountain once. So. And I actually went to pick up a golf cart. Reason that way I bought it off a guy and he was going to be there. So I went by for a little bit, but I've not been there, really paid much attention. It's got a really nice facility. So I've not really I can't really say one way or the other on that racetrack. I've never seen it. So.
Yeah, real nice place.
Good hamburgers.
It's a great place. Good, really good cheeseburgers, like hand patty.
Oh yeah,
they're
like
awesome.
Grandma used to make.
I'm telling you, man.
Right.
It's good stuff. And I don't know, man. It's a tough pick because, like you said, you got so many local guys that are going to be there this weekend too. Not just the regional.
Yeah.
If you didn't pick Donnie, I was going to pick him just because I agree with you. I mean, he comes out of the gate and he's fast there and then, maybe it's just sort of a dream too. But like, how cool would that be for him to win that race? I think that would be awesome. But I'm gonna go with Josh Harris. Salt, he's going to be there.
Yeah.
So we don't get to see him very often.
No, just a handful of times, so. if that, really 1 or 2 times a year.
Yeah.
Because he travels, across the country.
Now Victor did. And we left Victor Lee on the table, but Victor won the feature the other night at Florence So
Yeah, he did. I don't know.
Seems like I saw he might have been on vacation or just
I'm
a nice
not
little
sure.
fun trip with some friends of his. I don't know if he's
Yeah.
going to be in the house or not. Like
well, I
said,
saw that he was planning on going.
Was
so
he?
I,
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Well,
Okay.
he's gonna be right
I
there in
didn't
the
know-
mix then.
I didn't
Yeah.
know if he was
Yeah.
if he was making the trip up.
Yeah.
So
He'll be in the mix for sure, as well as a lot of
Absolutely.
others. So, like I said, be sure to check that one out if you're not up here with us in a cornfield. It'd be a good modified race. Another event that we've got coming up this weekend back in Central Kentucky is at Thunder Mountain Speedway. So you got 5,000 to win open wheels at Rockcastle. You got 3,000 to win pro late models, crate late models at Thunder Mountain. So that'll be another good one.
oh yeah.
Yes, it sure will. But unfortunately, they picked a bad weekend because a lot of your crate late model guys they're going to be up here just because,
Right.
like I said, it's Granddaddy of Them All. So I'm not sure who all's even going to be there. I've not paid much attention. I've been so busy with work. So
Well, I mean, I think just overall, it's sort of, and even thinking about picking the winners, it's tough. It's tough even, as it is.
It is.
To know who's going to show up where. But then you throw this wrench in the mix, and it's like, it's crazy to me the amount of drivers, just like yourself, that'll come up here
Yeah.
to the World 100, because it's like you work hard, you race all year. This is the time to just, kick back and unwind and have a good time at the World. So a
And
lot of
pe-
guys are up here.
Be a fan rather than be a driver like you've been, all season.
Yeah.
Just come here and enjoy it and be a fan and watch, some great super late model racing.
But without a doubt, because not just the crates, but also support classes as well. There at Thunder Mountain, I think it'll be a good
I do
show.
too.
And they've always got a good fan base there. It just at that racetrack, it's always packed out. with
I did
fans.
notice the grandstands there was pretty packed when
Always
I was
full,
there.
yeah.
So, like I said,
Yeah.
I've only been there the one time, so I don't even know who to expect there this weekend.
Yeah,
So
but you have to go check it out.
Are we gonna pick the crates at Thunder Mountain?
I mean, why not? We'll go ahead and pick the crates at Thunder Mountain. We might as well. Like
Yeah.
I said, it's going to be it's just
3,000 win.
Who's gonna be
That's a great
good
paying
money.
crate
Yeah.
race.
The winners, because you don't know if they're over here or what.
yeah, we got one right down here at the end of this row we're actually at. That he would be up
yeah.
there on the podium if
Yeah.
nothing else.
Yeah, Jay Watt.
Jay
Jay
Watt,
Watt,
Jeff Watson.
Yeah.
We talked to him last night for a while, and that's definitely one in the state of Kentucky. You can't never count Jay Watt out.
And you don't know if Dustin Linville's going to be up here to watch.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. I mean, Dustin Linville, what are
He
his
won
plans?
a big race there earlier in the year.
He won a
and
big
that-
race at Brownstown, 5,000
Yeah.
win just a couple of weeks ago. So
the crate
went up
car,
there,
so.
yeah, in the crate car. So he could show up down there for 3,000. He run there,
That's true.
like you said. So
Yeah, he won a big one down
you
there.
never know. Well, let's get. I gave you first pick every other pick. I'm not doing it again. I've been nice enough this whole podcast. We'll give it to you. Be nice to our guests here.
Listen now, listen.
Listen.
hey, look.
Hey.
I give you first
Hey.
pick.
You want to give me first pick? Well, like I said, I've only been there once, and the guy that won there that night, I've kind of pitted next to him and kind of become good buddies with him. But Ace Claiborne, he's I know he was on a hot streak down there 2 or 3 times. He's been down there. He's won. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with him. He's a good little young driver. He's
Yeah.
gonna make some noise
He
in the supers. I know that. I think they may be planning on maybe building one or something, getting in some races here towards the end of the year, first of next year. But I think he's going to be in the mix down there. He runs well. So
That's definitely a good
That's a
pick,
good
Ace.
one. Yeah.
I like Ace. We aggravate him a lot when we see
Yeah,
him
we
at
had
the
him on.
racetrack.
Yeah, we had him on the show after
Yeah.
he won his first crate late model race
We
down
had
there
him.
earlier in the year. Won several after that. So
Yeah.
just a whole lot of fun. Well, I'll take second pick. West goes last in this, and I can't let him. I don't want him to,
See?
completely catch
Yeah.
up. You got
It's rigged.
Rigged.
Yeah.
Rigged.
It's like
It is what
anything
it
else.
is.
that's right.
It's
all right. So
All right,
I don't
all
know,
right.
man. William Blankenship. I see when it comes to crate late model drive, I pick Tennessee guys a lot.
I know.
I don't know what's up with that.
we
but
might as well just call this dirt racing in Kentucky
In the
and Tennessee.
dirt racing in the volunteer state.
Yeah.
William Blankenship, he's been good there several times this
has.
year, so I think
That's-
he could.
That's a
Take
really
it
good
home.
pick. But I'm going to tell you who's going to win it. I'm on the last
Tell
pick,
us.
third. The big show out of Corbin, Kentucky. Tommy Lanham.
Yeah.
Right to check.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I
Tommy
didn't think
Lanham,
Tommy,
shoot, Tommy Bailey.
Tommy Lanham's going to win it.
No. He picked Tommy Lanham.
No,
That was his pick.
Yeah,
It's down.
You
So.
can't change it.
I
It's
ain't changed
official
it.
once it
It's
comes
official.
out of your mouth. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tommy
Bailey.
Tommy
yeah.
Bailey. It's funny. No, because I didn't even think about him. He's just been out the last couple.
Yeah,
within
he
the
just
last
has
couple
come back.
weeks, so.
Yeah, I haven't seen him all year till the last couple of weeks.
Smith.
That's another good pick.
Yeah.
The Smith boys are
Yep.
always in the
Brian,
mix.
Brian or Matthew Smith. But
Yeah.
I said Tommy Lanham. That's funny.
We'll
He was
see.
talking about Big Cuz. But
Tommy.
It's hard because you don't know who's going to be there.
that's
Yeah,
exactly right.
You don't know who's going to be there.
Well, I go ahead and tell you exactly who's going to win. It's who crosses the checkered flag.
Hey, that's the first. That's what I told Roberson earlier in the week. I was aggravating him to death. He was killing him. I wouldn't tell him who my pick was.
Yeah.
He said, "Who's your pick?" I said, "I'll let you know after the
After the race.
after they cross.
You can't lose that way,
take
can
the
you?
checkered
Right.
flag. I'll be undefeated if I just do that. So, might be the only way I can ever win the state dinner challenge over West. So I do have the lead right now. It's getting late in the year.
9-6.
If I can just keep if I can just keep control of this thing long enough, maybe I can get
It's
a free
true.
steak dinner by the end of the year. So.
I got a feeling that once it gets close, that maybe he'll have to miss some races. He won't miss some podcasts or things. So
Well, I already told
I
him.
think he'll.
I mean,
he'll
he's
catch
already
some
up
rainouts.
9-6.
He'll
So
catch some rainouts.
Well,
We're winding down.
I told you that earlier in the year. Listen, I'll cheat to win when losing 2 years in a row would just be embarrassing. So if it comes down to it, I'll cheat to win. So we'll just have
You
to
heard
see.
it here,
cheaters
folks.
never win, folks.
Yes,
Winners
they-
never need to
Hey,
cheat.
listen. Cheaters do win. Hey, look, cheaters do win.
They only get
So.
caught for cheating if they
Yeah, that's right.
You only cheating if you get
Yeah,
caught,
if you
right?
get caught. That's exactly right. So, well, a whole lot of fun. Chris, thank you for coming on here
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and joining us and talking about everything World 100 Week and everything else we've talked about. Especially with, like I said, I know you got some deep ties to Sandy Adams and that whole family. So that's been a lot of fun hearing about that. I like to hear about the history of the people that have been involved in our sport, over the
Yeah.
years. So that was a whole lot of fun. I enjoyed it myself. It's going to be a fun weekend up here at Eldora, and it's going to be a fun weekend back home in Central Kentucky as well. We've got night number 2. It's Friday night, twin 25s tonight, and the big one tomorrow night, 100 laps. And man, it's a whole lot of fun in between. So
Yep.
really looking forward to it.
You got the best pick of them all. You picked Hudson.
Well, I don't know. I guess that could be an argument for another podcast,
Right.
but I don't know if that's the.
We'll talk about
overall.
that on Sunday, right?
Yeah, we'll talk
Yeah.
about that on Sunday and see how it all shakes out. Until next Wednesday, we will see you at the races live from Eldora Speedway. We've
Got
got
you
the
some
beats.
beats here.
There you go, Wes.
y'all have a good night.